What were we discussing in the last class? Separation of powers is done. Do you understand the difference between separation of powers and division of power? Okay, great. Did I tell you about the mutual checks and balances of the organs? Great. So we'll start today from the very first part of the constitution. Not technically the part, but yes, the part that we will discuss in the due course of details. So we're going to read about preamble, right? First, understand one thing, that preamble is one of the most important topics of the exam because of too much of bombardment of information and concepts. As a result of which we have repeatedly seen questions in both prelims as well as the main exam from preamble as a part. If we trace back like what exactly UPSC has been asking, then please draw this. Then we have seen question from some specific parts to be there. For example, meaning. Second is history. Third is the legal debate that we'll have today. Fourth is utility. And the most important being the text of the preamble itself. These are the parts. If you trace back, you can see that you have seen repeated questions. Debate, legal debates. There are three debates that we'll discuss. Whether preamble is a part of constitution or not, whether it can be amended or not. If amended, then what are the restrictions over it, is what is the part of legal debate. Clear? You should remember it because while revising you should know where you need to put more of stress. For each of the chapters you have to have such kind of mind maps. These are the most important parts from where questions are repeatedly coming. Okay? So, let's try to understand preamble as a chapter by itself. And before introducing preamble, let me tell you, preamble has a purpose which is larger than that of your exam. You should understand that. That's because even if not in the prelims or mains, one question definitely will be asked to you in the interview part, which is, why do you want to become a civil servant? Right? Generally, when this question is asked, we end up giving utopian thought processes and ideas and dreams that we have. Though they are not wrong or not rather wrongly placed, yet the most technical way of how that answer has to be given is provided in the constitution itself. The very first thing that you see while you open the constitution is the preamble, and it is the preamble which makes it clear that there are certain objectives or purpose behind the constitution. And because we will be servant of the constitution, it is important that what the master says shall be delivered. Isn't it? And what the master says is written in the preamble itself. Getting it? Let's try to understand this. If you read the preamble, I'm sure you must be having at least your Bare Acts with you. Bare Act किताब है, नहीं है तो स्मार्टफोन है, हाँ वहाँ पे Constitution of India डाउनलोड करेंगे. ठीक है? Always make one good habit in polity classes. It's not about me as a teacher, any other teacher also. Always keep referring to the Bare Act, the constitution itself, then and there when the polity classes are being held. See, there are certain questions that will come especially in the prelims exam, which would need at least one reference to the constitution. It is futile to expect that you will sit at home and you will read the constitution. It is of no use, neither the productivity will be high on that course. Rather, what you can do is, whenever a polity teacher is teaching, you can parallelly look at the Bare Act. It's a good habit to also make you understand the legal vocabulary. In GS paper 2, when you write the answer, you have to use the vocabulary, which has to be a little legalistic in orientation. You can very well get it from the language of the constitution itself. It is up to you. If you are comfortable with a book, do buy a Bare Act. बेयर एक्ट अभी कौन सा ऑथर मत पूछना, बेयर एक्ट मतलब जो अंबेडकर लिख के गए थे, बाकी सब पब्लिश कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। तो कोई भी ऑथर लीजिए, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। You don't need to read the details of it. What you all need to read is the articles alone, number one. Number two, if you are not comfortable with a book, you can always go with the app of Constitution of India. Rather, the best part about an app, what I feel, is that you can directly search it out, number one, on the search button. And number two, it is very much regularly updated. Whenever there is an amendment, it is very well updated in the app. Whereas it is not updated in the book, you need to write it down in the book. So either of both, whichever you feel you are comfortable with, do have it, but definitely have it, because there would be some questions in the exam that you can only and only answer if you have seen the constitution at least once. Okay? On that mode, we can look at the preamble itself. I'm sure many of you would be knowing preamble clearly, right? So if you read the text of the preamble, it says that we the people of India, who? We the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into. So this preamble is talking about constituting our country into something. What is our country? That is India. To constitute India into what? Into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to provide to its citizens. So not only just the country, it also aims for something which has to do something with the citizens, and to provide to its citizens justice. What kind of justice? Social, economic, as well as political. Liberty. What kind of liberty? Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Equality. Equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity. And how fraternity has to be promoted? By assuring the dignity of individual and unity and integrity of the nation. On this 26th day of November 1949, we do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this constitution. This is the text of preamble. Just by a preliminary reading, do you understand that it is setting a purpose of the constitution? Now when in the interview board they ask you what are the reasons or why you want to become a civil servant, at least some of these must be there in your answer. If these are not the things which motivate you to come to civil services, then you really need to reconsider your decision. Getting the point? At least one value shall come. I'm not saying copy paste, but at least 1-2 values shall come to your mind when you think about the question, why I want to become a civil servant. Isn't it? Think about it, right? And that is exactly what the interview board will also expect from you. That's why very colloquially, this preamble is also said as the job description of a civil servant. When you go to a private sector, your manager will give you one job description. In civil services per se, no one gives you your job description. There are responsibilities attached to the chair that you join for. No one gives you per se the job description. If you look for a job description, that is provided in the constitution itself. So given a question, do remember your answer shall reflect few of the values that we are talking about in the preamble itself. Now reading at it, what do we understand? That the preamble looks like the purpose of the constitution, isn't it? At the same time, it's like the introduction to constitution, isn't it? The preamble is introduction to the constitution. Many of you must have read most of the books and must have seen at least one page with which the book starts, that is called as the preface, right? So this preamble is also referred to as the preface of constitution. Getting it? And what is there in preface? what exactly the book talks about in a very summarized format, right? So many of the political scientists will also say that the preamble is a summary of the constitution, or rather the constitution in a nutshell. Summary of the constitution or the constitution in a nutshell. Speaking exactly what the preamble is all about, it is called as the quintessence of the constitution. Quintessence, which means the fundamental idea or the fundamental thought process or the fundamental belief behind the constitution itself. Fundamentally, what this constitution is trying to give you is what is stated in the preamble itself. Making sense to all of you? Please write, the Supreme Court stated that the preamble is the key to unlock the minds of the founding fathers. Preamble is the key to unlock the minds of the founding father or the constitution makers. The one who made the constitution, whatever they were thinking, they all wrote it down in the preamble itself. So by reading the preamble, we can very well understand what our founding fathers who gave us this constitution, what were they thinking behind writing the constitution itself. Getting it? This is the definition given by Supreme Court of India. These are the varied meanings of what is the preamble to our constitution. Getting it? Now if you look at the preamble, it sets certain objectives for the country to be achieved and certain to be provided to the citizens of the country. Now the one which are attached to the country itself are called as ideals. The values that are attached to the country are called as ideals. Getting it? Always remember, ideals is for country and not for citizens. Rather, what is provided for citizens is called as aspirations. Remember, we read in the last class that constitution is an aspirational document. Look at the aspirations: justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Did the people of India got any of these values in the last 200 years of struggle against the Britishers? No, none of them. Everything of that sort was compromised and diluted. As a result of which, the founding father said, these are our aspirations. When India will be an independent country, we are going to have justice, liberty, equality, as well as fraternity. So there are certain agendas in mind for the country to become. Those are called as ideals. And what are ideals? That India shall be a sovereign country. It shall be a socialist country. It shall be a secular country. It should be a democratic country, and it shall be a republic. What is the name of our country? Republic of India. So this Republic of India shall be having what kind of characters? It shall be sovereign. It shall be socialist. It shall be secular. It shall be democratic. If I look at it, can I say that by my basic knowledge of English language, these are adjectives to the term republic? Isn't it? They add value to republic. So what do we call them? Adjectives. 2016 mains question. Getting it? Adjective to the term republic. So what kind of a Republic of India we need? One which is sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic. Similarly, here are aspirations which are provided for the citizens. Getting it? Is this clear to all of you? Now, if you look at this purpose of the constitution, which is settled by that of the founding fathers, this preamble that you see today in India, this preamble is a modified version, or rather an influenced version of what was called as the objective resolution that was passed by Pandit Nehru in the Constituent Assembly. Getting it? So from where it comes? It comes from objective resolution of Pandit Nehru. If you look at this objective resolution, it is also not a very original document. Rather, it comes from the United Nations Charter. It comes from United Nations Charter. And this United Nations Charter, it comes from the preamble of United States of America. Now in books generally you will see it will be written that the Indian preamble is influenced from the US preamble, isn't it? But you should know what is the way through which it has been introduced. That's because UPSC may ask you that the Indian preamble is an influenced version of objective resolution. Correct. It is an influenced version of UN Charter. Correct. It's an influenced version of US preamble. Correct. Getting the point? By the way, United States of America was the first country to write down a preamble because they were the first one to have a written constitution. Way back in 1787, they had this original idea of writing down the preamble. Getting it? And when are we writing the preamble? In 1950. Preamble was written after the full of the constitution was drafted, because we understood it is also the summary of the constitution. When do you write the summary? Before writing a chapter or after writing the chapter? After. So logically speaking, preamble was written after the complete constitution was drafted, so that whatever is written in the preamble duly reflects inside the constitution itself. Clear to all of you? Now, this Indian preamble, which was drafted in 1950, is also praised, respected, revered by many as one of the most finely worded document or worded text. So worldwide, it is not just we are Indians, so we are saying that our preamble is very good. Rather, worldwide, political fraternity always respects our preamble because of the fine choice of words. For example, you might will be reading about a person called as Ernst Barker, who was the principal of King's College London, one of the political writers that we have seen in the last century. He has written many books. One of those books is Social and Political Theories. So he wrote a book. He's an Englishman. But he was so moved by the Indian preamble that he starts his book by introducing the Indian preamble. So if you look at it, this is nothing but the reverence or respect to the Indian preamble. Getting it? But what you need to understand over here is that though we should accept with very humble submissions that yes, our preamble is one of the most finely worded preamble, but you should also understand that the credit must be given to United States of America, because when we wrote the constitution, we were looking at more than 60 working constitution, and as such our constitution is also called as a document of collective wisdom. So whatever best was there in most part of the world, we got it into our constitution. However, if you look at United States of America, it is a pretty much original document, which means they had no reference point when they were writing a preamble. Rather, the term preamble itself comes from US. Had they been calling it introduction, preface or XYZ, by all chances, we also would have been calling it introduction, preface or XYZ. That term preamble itself, it comes from United States of America. So remember, though we are finely worded text, because of collective wisdom, we shall always respect an original idea which comes from United States of America. Understood? Now, it was America only which, whenever you open the Constitution as a book, shows us the first page, which is like preface, which is also called as the preamble. Now, understand one thing, anywhere around the globe, if there is a written constitution and they have a preamble, if you open the constitution as a book, what is the first thing that you will see? It is the preamble itself, which will be talking about the particular summary of that particular document. That is what happens to you when you open any of the books that you have bought. Every book will be having a preface. Now, when you open a particular constitution, the first thing that you see is the preamble itself. However, at the end of the day, the constitution is nothing but a set of laws. Isn't it? Constitution is nothing but a set of laws. If we talk about laws, laws are to be enforced. Laws are justiciable. You can go to the court for infringement of any of the laws. Now, if you look about the substance of the constitution, it always starts from Article 1 onwards. Because what is law? What is written in article? But we just read our preamble at least. Was it written under any article number? No. Does the preface of your book comes under any chapter? No. It is independent of all those chapters. So in the political fraternity, one debate arose that when we open the constitution, the first thing that we see is the preamble to the constitution. However, the force of the constitution always comes from Article 1 onward. In this backdrop, do we consider the preamble as a part of constitution or not? Getting the debate? What came up? Open the book, you see preamble, but the force of the constitution will always start from Article 1 onwards. So a debate come in, do we consider the preamble as a part of constitution or not? What do you think? Is preamble a part of constitution? How many of you are saying yes? Very good. How many of you are saying no? For both yes and no. Did I ask you which preamble? Did I ask you Indian preamble or Nepalese preamble or US preamble? Did I ask you that? I am giving you an international debate. Did I say in India when you open the constitution? What did I say? In any country which has a written constitution having a preamble, the first thing that you see by opening the book is preamble itself. So I am talking about a international debate, which means there must be division on the understanding of it. That is what takes us to the first legal debate, whether preamble is a part of constitution. In UPSC, please read the question twice before you write a yes or no. Getting it? The obvious yes are many a time the most general no. Okay? So read the question twice at least and try to ask yourself what the question is all about. Okay? Don't fall for words. Okay? So whether preamble is a part of constitution or not. As we understood, it's an international debate, so definitely there will always be two schools of thought. So the first school is called as the traditional legal school. The first one is the traditional legal school. And the second one obviously will be opposite of that. If that is traditional, what will this be? The modern one. The modern legal school. And by default, if one says yes, the other will say no. Obviously, that's why you have got two schools of thought. Now, if you look at the first one, the traditional legal school, as the term suggests, traditional, something which comes from older days. Which was the first country to write the preamble? USA. So this school of thought is practiced in United States of America. And their Supreme Court, which is also interpreter of their constitution, it has interpreted that the preamble is not a part of the Constitution. What has the Supreme Court of United States interpreted? That the preamble of United States of America is not a part of their Constitution. And why so? Because in USA, the preamble is considered as a decorative item. It is considered as a decorative item. Getting it? For example, try to understand it. See, all of you are having so many books. For example, polity books. You all are having polity books, right? Rajnikant, reading it or not? Okay, go home today and do one thing. Go home today and tear off the preface of the book and throw it away in the dustbin. Do you think it in any ways is going to impact your preparation? No, not really. How many of you do really read preface of the books when you buy a book? Hardly anyone. Hardly. Have we read all the prefaces of all the books that we have bought in our life? No, not really. Rather, our argument is very substantial. When I am going to read the complete book, what is the need for me to read the summary? Isn't it? If I'll tell you, go and read the complete polity book, you'll start from chapter 1. Do you start from preface? No, you start from chapter 1. Exactly what the Supreme Court is saying, that the preamble is just an item to beautify the Constitution. The force of the Constitution always starts from Article 1. Rather, legally speaking, please write, the preamble is not a part of the Constitution. The preamble is not a part of the Constitution as it is considered as a decorative item which is not participating in any kind of distribution, as the preamble is not participating in any kind of distribution or limitation of powers. Full stop. Right? It is neither enforceable nor justiciable. It is neither enforceable nor justiciable. Full stop. Rather, the force of the Constitution starts from Article 1 onwards. Rather, the force of the Constitution starts from Article 1 onwards. Full stop. Do you understand? It is not under any article, so it is not a constitutional law per se. What it is just a decorative item. For example, in our home, we are having so many decorative items in our drawing hall or living area. If any of those decorative item falls and breaks down, do you think it is going to impact your living in the house, that I will not be able to enter my house anymore? No, your mother will change it the very next day. Isn't it? That is what is decorative item. Now, this traditional view of what we saw in the United States of America was also reiterated in India in a case called as Ray Berubadi Union, 1960. Ray Berubadi Union, 1960. Can anyone tell me what Ray stands for? What it stands for? Referred. Reference. Okay, very good. Reference, who is referring to whom? President is referring to whom? to Supreme Court. Why? Recheck. Think about it. What is the work of executive? Implementation of laws. What is the work of judiciary? Interpretation of law. So while the executive is trying to implement any law, if the executive is confused about the meaning of the law, who should make it clear what is the real meaning of the law? Judiciary. So in these kind of circumstances, an advisory role is given to Supreme Court. So the President of India will refer, hence the term re and not re, reference case. So the President of India will refer the case to the Supreme Court of India in order to get some legal opinion. Okay, tell me something by your common sense. What do you think, that reference cases are a common thing or a rare phenomena? It's a rarest of rare phenomena. Till date, hardly 7 reference cases. One of them is the reference case of Birubadi Union that we will read in our next class in Union and its territories. Right? So, in this case, the Birubadi Union case, the Supreme Court of India took a view which was similar to that of United States of America. So, what would be the view? That preamble is not a part of the Constitution. It is a decorative item. So, it is only for beautification of the Constitution. The substantial power of the Constitution starts from Article 1 onwards. As such, the preamble is not a part of Constitution. Think about it like in this way. Suppose you have a time machine. Hypothetically, suppose we have a time machine. We can use it to go into the future or to the past. Let's use the time machine in this class itself and go to the past. Let's use it to go to 25th of January 1950. 26th of January 1950, the Constitution will be enforced, right? So let's go around night 9:30 or 10 o'clock to the Constituent Assembly, which is the old Parliament building. That is now the Constitution Chamber. So that is where the Constitution was drafted. Let's set the timer of the time machine to go to 25th of January 1915 night 10 p.m. When we reach to the Constituent Assembly Central Hall, we'll be able to see no one but a document in front of us. And what is that document? It is the Constitution of India. By now that is the single copy only. Multiple copies are not there. Tomorrow morning it will be enforced and then it will be sent to all part of India for usage, right? Let's do one thing. Let's open the book. When you open the Constitution, what is the first thing you will see? Preamble. Do one thing. Tear that page off. Take off that page and put it inside your pocket. So now that Constitution is not having a preamble, right? Do one thing. Use the timer and come back to today's class. Now sitting over here, tell me, in the last 70 plus decades of governance, this Constitution has worked without a preamble? Because you took off the preamble, someone is having it in your class, isn't it? So you took off the preamble. With your common sense or logic, tell me something. Do you think there would be any difference in the way the Constitution has performed in the last so many years with or without the preamble? Do you think there would be any difference? Practically speaking, no difference. Why? Because Constitution is a set of laws and the laws start from Article 1 onwards. So even if you tear all the prefaces of all the books you are having, it is not going to impact your preparation in any ways. This is exactly what is the traditional school of thought, which will get changed in another case wherein will come in the modern view, and that case is the Keshavananda Bharati case of 1973. That view will change. The view of Birubadi Union will change in Keshavananda Bharati in 1973. Obviously, if this one says it is not a part of Constitution, what would the modern view say? That yes, it is a part of Constitution. Rather, the Supreme Court said that not just a part, it is actually an integral part to the Constitution. Integral part means something which cannot be dissociated. You cannot take away the preamble. Getting it? Integral part. Now the question is, what happened that such a drastic change in the argument that in 1960 the Supreme Court is saying no, it is not a part, and in 1973, just after another 13 years, the same court is saying no, it is not just a part, rather it is an integral part of the Constitution. So what happened here? Let's try to understand it. See, suppose there is a law X which is having multiple interpretation A, B, C, D, etc. Who should make it clear to us what is the real meaning of X? It is the judiciary, and to be exact, the Supreme Court of India, which is the final interpreter of the Constitution. Now the Supreme Court of India is going to apply many kind of legalistic parameters to figure out whether A or B or C or D is the right meaning of the X. But if the Supreme Court of India, even after applying all the legalistic parameters, is still confused, is still not very clear, then whom the Supreme Court of India shall ask? Think about it. Suppose you have written an answer and I am unable to actually interpret the answer. If I have to check the answer, you submit me an answer and I am unable to understand one of the paragraphs that you have written in your answer script. If I am unable to understand, whom do I ask it? To you only. The one who has written is the best person to tell me what he has written. Now if here there is a law and the Supreme Court is not clear what is A, B or C or D with reference to that of X, whom the Supreme Court shall ask? The one who made the law, I mean the Constitution, which is the Constituent Assembly. But Constituent Assembly members were not immortals. They died, isn't it? So now there is no reference point of the Constituent Assembly. But then what the Constituent Assembly was thinking is written somewhere. And where it is written? The preamble. If you remember the Supreme Court definition of preamble, it is the key to unlock the minds of the Constitution maker, is something which was given by the court in the Berubadi Union case. In this case, the court said that if there is a law and we have to interpret the law and we are unable to figure out the meaning of the law even after applying different legal parameters, then we see that which of the version of that law is aligned with that of the preamble. That version which is aligned with the preamble of the Constitution is interpreted as the right meaning of the law. Now the question is how it became right meaning. Because if the preamble is the key to unlock the minds of the Constitution maker, reading the preamble, what you can understand? What they were thinking. So what is their idea behind writing the law? As such, the court said that without the preamble, it will be impossible to understand many of the things which are written in the Constitution itself. So it is not just a decorative item, rather it is an integral part of the Constitution. However, the court clarified that yes, Constitution at the end of the day is a legal document. So the force of the Constitution will start from Article 1 onwards. That doesn't mean that preamble becomes justiciable or enforceable, but preamble is an integral part of the Constitution. Please write. The Supreme Court in the Keshavananda Bharati case, the Supreme Court in the Keshavananda Bharati case interpreted that the preamble is an integral part of the Constitution. That it is an integral part of the Constitution. This view was supported with the fact that preamble helps the judiciary in interpretation of the Constitution, helps the judiciary in interpretation of Constitution, as it symbolizes the minds of the Constitution maker, symbolizes the minds of the Constitution makers, full stop. Although it is still neither justiciable nor enforceable, full stop. It does not participate in providing any powers. It does not participate in providing any power to any organ of the state, nor it limits the power of any organ, Clear to all of you? समझ में आया ये? हाँ? Okay. Now tell me something logically. So we have understood what is the view today, that it is an integral part of constitution. Remember, if in the main exam you get a question on this legal debate, whether preamble is a part or not, do not just write the modern view. You have to write the traditional view as well, because the interpretation of the modern view comes from the traditional view itself, because it is the definition of the court in Berubadi Union case, which was used in Keshavananda Bharati case. Understood? So please write both of the case laws. Okay. Tell me something. Now, can the preamble be amended? Absolutely yes. Can we amend the constitution? Yes, Article 368 is there. Preamble is a integral part of constitution. If we can amend the constitution, can't we amend the preamble? Yes, the preamble can be amended. Now the question is, the preamble looks pretty similar to something that we have read called as the basic structure doctrine, because basic structure also talks about certain values and preamble is also talking about certain values. So my question to all of you is, do you think preamble is also basic structure doctrine feature? Do you think preamble is also a feature of basic structure doctrine? Think about it. You have already given me an answer before this question. You need to combine both of them. See, all of you people who are saying, yes, it is a part of basic structure doctrine. If it is basic structure doctrine, can you amend it? No. But you just agreed, all of you rather said, most of you, that yes, we can amend the preamble, which means the preamble completely, quote unquote, from we the people to hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution, is not part of basic structure doctrine. Rather, there are certain values inside the constitution, inside the preamble, which has been declared by the court on a case-to-case basis as parts or features of basic structure doctrine. For example, secularism. For example, sovereignty. For example, justice, equality, liberty. These are parts of basic structure doctrine. But the complete preamble, quote unquote, is not a part of the basic structure doctrine. It should be evident to you because we have amended the constitution, the preamble once already. during the 42nd Amendment, right? And we inserted three terms. What were those three terms? Socialist, secular, and integrity. Integrity, unity and integrity, dignity and unity and integrity. We have already inserted three terms. Rather, just 1.5 years back, there was one parliamentarian who was trying to introduce a bill to amend another term, that is socialist, given in the preamble. He was trying to replace it with a word called as equity. We'll understand whether it is right or not. That is another debate. But he was trying to amend one of the terms, which means socialist has not been declared as a part of basic structure doctrine. Getting it? Be quite vividly reading the questions when they come on small logical points. Like you cannot say it can be amended and the very next question you say it is a part. Getting it? Please give the heading utility of preamble. Utility of preamble. There are majorly three utilities of the preamble. The first one is it declares the ultimate sovereign in India. It declares the ultimate sovereign. So who is the most powerful? Ultimate sovereign in the country. And who is ultimate sovereign in the country? It is we the people of India. Who made the constitution? We the people. Who enacted the constitution? We the people. Who adopted it? We the people. Who gifted it to whom? We people, we gifted it to ourselves. Okay. So it declares the ultimate sovereign power which lies with we the people of India. Second, it talks about ideals and aspirations of the constitution. So it also declares the ideals and aspirations of the constitution. And third, it declares the enactment clause of the constitution. It declares the enactment clause. See, the constitution is a law and a law is enacted on a particular day, isn't it? So that date is the enactment date, that is also called as enactment clause. Isn't the preamble declaring the enactment clause, the enactment date? It writes down that on this day, the 26th November 1949, we do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution. So the enactment clause is also made public through this particular text, which is 26th November 1949. These are the three most important utilities. Why preamble? What is preamble? You have already understood. Don't confuse utility with meaning. Meaning is what is preamble? Introduction, summary, nutshell, quintessence, key to minds. That is all thing that you have discussed. What we are talking about here is utility, which means why the preamble? Because of these. Clear to all of you? Now the most important thing is to understand the text of the preamble. Right? And let's start with the first one, which is regarding ideals. And always remember, ideal is for country and not for citizens. Don't confuse it. They have confused multiple times in the question. So don't fall for it. Remember, ideals is always for country. Right? And the very first ideal is sovereign. Right? India is a sovereign country. Is India a sovereign country or not? It is, na? Okay, great. So tell me something. What do you understand by sovereign? Or what do you understand by sovereignty? अरे सुनो, मछली बाजार मत बनाओ, एक एक करके आता है तो हाथ उठाओ. Being independent from external External? External powers, yes. Okay, so independence is what you are talking about. Anybody else? Yes. So independent, right? घूम फिर के वही बोल रहे हो ना, बस खाली डेकोरेशन चल रहा है आजू बाजू. Yes, please. So independent only, na? Huh? Yes. Anybody else? Anybody else? Self-sufficiency to take our own decisions without external interference. यही होता है जब किताब रटोगे तो. Please write. There are two definitions to sovereignty. ठीक है? One is when a country is neither a dependency nor a dominion. When a country is neither a dependency nor a dominion, that country is called as a sovereign country. Let's try to understand this. When a country is neither dependency nor a dominion. So let's look at the first one. When a country is not a dependency. If a country is not dependent, then what is the country? It is independent. That is what you all were saying, isn't it? Now tell me, is India an independent country or not? Absolutely yes. What day we got independence? सोचना पड़ रहा है क्या? हाँ? 15th August 1947. Now this date that I have written, is it something my presumption or is it given in any law? Is there a law? Yes. What is that law? Indian Independence Act 1947. Right? Indian Independence Act. By this law we got independence, which is the date 15th August 1947. Right? Okay. So this law, it created two dominions. Remember? Dominion of India and Dominion of Pakistan. This law created two dominions, that of India and that of Pakistan. So tell me something, before this law was passed, who was ruling India? The Britishers. And who was the highest official of Britishers in India, ruling India? It was the Viceroy. Before independence, who was the head of state? Head of government at least. The Viceroy. After independence, after this law was passed, who became the head of the state? The Governor General, isn't it? Okay, tell me something. Who was the last Viceroy who also became the first Governor General of independent India? Lord Mountbatten, right? And just after Lord Mountbatten, somebody else, some Indian became a Governor General. C. Rajagopalachari, Rajaji became the Governor General, isn't it? Okay, tell me something. This Lord Mountbatten or Rajaji, both of them who were the Governor General of independent India, who appointed this Governor General? It is the Crown sitting in London, who is the head of state of the Britishers, isn't it? UK head of state, who is appointing the head of state of India. Do you really call yourself a sovereign country if your head of state is appointed by another head of state? No, you are not. And that's why you need to understand, it is not just independency. That's why the definition says neither a dependency nor a dominion. If you look at it, India is a dominion. As a dominion, its head of state is appointed by whom? Another head of state. Which means, though India became independent in 1947, it was not called as a sovereign country in 1947. Rather, sovereignty as a term came in 1950, when the first president of India was elected by people of India With that, the dominion status was dropped and India became Republic of India. Understood? So it is not just not having dependency, it is also not being a dominion, which means in 1950 only India became a sovereign country. Is this clear to all of you? This is one definition, which is the first one, which says a country which is neither a dependency nor a dominion. Shall I rough it? Erase it? The other definition for that of a sovereign country, it comes from international laws. And what international laws would state? International law would state, the source is international law. It would say that a country having authority to acquire or cede a territory, acquire or cede a territory is a sovereign country. So when do we call a country to be sovereign? When the country can acquire a territory. Acquire means occupy, take the occupation of, take the charge of, take the control of. How you can take it? Though your mind might be painting a picture of a battle or a war, that is not always the case. You can acquire a territory by a peaceful agreement also, isn't it? By just signing some understanding papers. You can have police action also, mild forces. You can have army actions also, isn't it? Hyderabad, Goa, Sikkim, etc. are the examples of many of the things that would come under acquiring a territory. If a country can do all of these things, then the country is called to be a sovereign country. On the other hand, if a country can cede also, cede means to give away, to gift, supply, surrender, etc. So if a country can acquire something, or if a country can give away something that belongs to it, if a country can do so, then internationally we call that country as a sovereign country. Now India is a sovereign country. In one line, just understand that though there is a criticism many a time that because we are participant to many multilateral forums, it compromises our sovereignty, it is not a rightly placed argument. Remember that no nation or no country is an island. Island means which can survive by its own. Rather, in today's world, which is an interconnected global village, we need the association or cooperation of many countries. Getting it? As a result of which, using our own sovereign power, we join those organizations. Using the same sovereign power, we can very well withdraw from those organizations as well. Because it is a win-win situation, we always tend to join organizations. Now you cannot say that because I am a sovereign country, I can wage a war on Pakistan any day I want. Kal subah utھ ke Akhand Bharat. And the moment you will say that tomorrow morning 8 o'clock I will launch a nuke, you will get a call from United Nations which will say don't do it. Then don't say that United Nations is compromising or diluting your sovereignty, because end of the day always remember, sovereignty is power and power is responsibility. So when you say a country is a sovereign country, do take the argument that the country also has to behave in a responsible manner. As a result of which, this multilateral forums are only making us more responsible nations. Getting it? Is this clear to all of you? Sovereign समझ में आया? Let's go to two very, very important terms which have been repeatedly asked and has a lot to understand, which is a socialist and secular, the two terms which will follow. The first thing that all of you need to understand is that both of the terms were not there in the preamble in the original constitution. Both of them were inserted by a single amendment. So definitely some compulsion must have been there in order to insert them, number one. Number two, you should understand that both the terms are of foreign origin. Both the terms are not of Indian origin, rather their origin is far out of India. As a result of which, their meanings which were originally attached to them when they were used in their respective geographical places changes with its acceptance or adoption to that of India. Getting the point? It changes because the background changes. And that is why it creates a lot of confusion. Because when we look at the terms, we look at the reference point from where it has come, but we do not understand practically that their meaning has been tweaked while accepting them in case of India. Also understand that only because these terms were inserted into the constitution, it does not mean that India became these two things only in 1976. Rather, you need to understand, preamble is the summary of the constitution. Summary means you write down the important things for reference. You don't reiterate the constitution itself in the preamble, which means there are many things which are equally important, which are not written in the preamble, but given detailedly inside the constitution. Getting the point? So a lot of confusion for these two terms basically is because of we are unable to understand the meanings of the terms itself. And that's why so many discussions on socialist and, to be exact, just one term, secular. Getting it? Let's try to understand the first term, which is socialist. Whenever I look at this term, it takes me to the country of its origin, and from where it has come? It has come from USSR. Right? So USSR was the socialistic state. Now if you look at USSR, USSR has been dominated with the philosophy of Karl Marx while trying to establish a socialist state. Getting it? Now, it's not possible to teach you Karl Marx in a class, but do understand what Marx would say is a very fundamentally easy thing. He would say that every society will always have two groups of people. One is a handful of people having access to resources, revenue, money or material. So these are the ones who actually controls the means of production. According to Marx, he would call them the bourgeois. We will call them the haves because they are having everything. A common understanding is the industrial class people, the one who are affluent. On the other hand, there is another section of people which is actually larger in population, but they do not have any access to either revenue or capital or means of production. Marx would call them the proletariat. We would call them the have-nots. For common understanding, you can think about the labor class, the working class, which is not having much of resources to itself. Now, every society will have these two classes of people, these two group of people. Now, the point of argument over in a society is their interests are diagonally divergent, which means that the person having all the things wants to grow in life. The property that he has, he wants to safeguard that property and also grow in that property. Now he can only grow when he earns a lot of profit, isn't it? On the other hand, the person who are not having anything, they are only dependent on a small thing, and that is their hard work. And they are working in the factories of these people, industries of these people, and they are only dependent on wages in order to survive their life. Now the one having everything wants to grow, he can only grow with more profit, he can only earn more profit if he cut down the wages of the have-nots. And once the wages of the have-nots is cut down, it is the have-nots who suffers the poverty, ignorance, death and diseases. Marx says that it is at the cost of the labor, hard work of these have-nots that these haves are growing in society. Isn't it? So one is doing all the hard work, the other is just enjoying the fruits of the hard work. Why so? Because he was having access to the resources. And this distorted form of enjoying the benefits of the work is complete injustice, because one is not doing anything, but only because he was having control to means of production, he is enjoying his life. The other is toiling in efforts, working out day and night, and is dying in poverty and hunger. This is injustice. This injustice has to be addressed by placing the proletariat up. And this can happen by establishing a socialist society, which will think about the complete society and not just about few individuals. Now, this theory of Marx, which establishes a kind of a socialist society, is also called as Marxian socialism, because it comes from Marx. It is also called as state socialism, because you will understand in some time that it makes the state a stronger entity. It is also called as classical socialism, because it is the traditional understanding, the classical understanding, and it is also called as the communist socialism. Communist socialism. If you look at the features of this socialist state, there are two features to it. And it is completely based on Marx's idea. Because Marx believed that economics is the root cause of every injustice. You fix the economics and you fix everything in the society. Based on that, Marx said, number one, no private property. No private property. Remember that injustice which was there in the society? What is the crux of the reasons? It is that my private property has to be protected and it has to grow. So Marx says, if you cut down private property, then there is no injustice. So he would say, no private property. No private property. On the other hand, he would say that all means of production controlled by state. All means of production controlled by state. Another reason of great amount of exploitation that we saw was because the means of production were controlled by some people, they would always try to exploit the labor of others. So Marx would say, let no person control the means of production, rather let there be nationalization. Let the state be the owner of everything. Getting it? Let the state be the owner of everything. If you look at both of the postulates of Marxian socialism, both are economic in their parameters, isn't it? No private property and all means of production are controlled by the state. Why economics? Because Marx strongly believed that if you fix the economic pattern, you will fix the societal pattern. Because he believes strongly that it is the economical advantage that one has over the other is the result of all the injustice in the society. Getting the point? Now when we say a state is a socialist state, these are the understanding. Getting it? So worldwide, if you say a state is a socialist state, what is the understanding? No private property and all means of production are controlled by state. Now with your experience and knowledge, tell me something. In India, do you think there is the application of point number 1, no private property? No, not at all. Rather, right now you are sitting inside a private property. Isn't it? Rather, our constitution used to have one clause, an article in part 3, which is fundamental right, which was having right to property. Now it is discarded out of fundamental right, but it is still there as a constitutional right. Article 300A, right to property is still there, which means we do not follow the first postulate of classical socialism. Rather, in India, there is a right to property. It is completely opposite of what is there in the classical socialism. Second, look at the second one. All means of production. Think about all the goods and services that we use in our daily life. Is it all produced by the government? No, not at all. Who produces it? Private alone? No, government also produces, private also produces, both in cooperation also they produce. PPP. Rather, we have now concept like PPP. Public-private people partnership has also come in. Right? So, which means we do not follow even the second postulate as well. Now see, worldwide socialist means these two. But we in India, neither we follow point number 1 nor we follow point number 2. It means we are not socialist. Isn't it? Or rather, we are a different strand of socialism. Getting it? So the Supreme Court said that the socialism in India is a different strand which is called as democratic socialism. Unlike the classical state, communist or Marxist, what we have in India is democratic socialism. It is a different strand of socialism. Now, whenever we attach this term democratic to anything, what does it mean? What do you mean by democratic? If I say, let's conduct this class democratically, what do you understand by that? Huh? If I say, let's conduct this class democratically, what does that mean? It means whatever you say, I'll listen to it, right? Whatever somebody else will say, I'll listen to it. If somebody else amends something, I'll listen to it. It means that I'm ready to look at multiple views. Isn't it? Tell me something. When I can look at multiple views, when I'm a rigid person or when I'm a flexible person? Flexible person. So remember, this term democratic means flexibility. Democratic means flexibility. Are we not flexible? Remember, we are ready with goods which are coming from public sector. We are okay with goods coming from private sector. We are okay with goods and services coming from public-private partnership and n number of places. We don't mind. See, unlike the classical socialism, which is completely rigid. Is it not rigid? Look at the term. No private property, full stop. Any exception? No. All means of production controlled by state, full stop. No. All. Any exceptions? No, there is no exception, but rather these are completely rigid. And why they are rigid? Because their idea is to fix the economic pattern. Because Marx believed that economics pattern has to be fixed in order to fix the society. And to fix the economic pattern, you have to be rigid. But in our case, we are flexible. Since we are flexible, it means that we are not fixing the economic pattern. If you are not fixing the economic pattern, then what are we fixing? We are trying to fix the social pattern. So rather than the classical socialism, which focuses on solving the economic pattern, we in democratic socialism, we are focusing on solving the social pattern. So what kind of a society are we looking at? We are looking at establishing a welfare society. What are we looking at? We are looking at establishing a welfare society. Now, what exactly is welfare society? What is a welfare society? So, society where there is equality, a society where there are opportunities, a society where there is no poverty or illiteracy, a society where there is equality of opportunity done here, minimum standard of living. A society where there is no disease is what is called as a welfare society. Is called as a welfare society. Clear? Please write. The Supreme Court states, that the aim of democratic socialism, the Supreme Court stated or states, the Supreme Court stated or states that the aim of democratic socialism, is to eradicate poverty, illiteracy, disease, and inequality of opportunity. Please cut that illiteracy and write ignorance. Ignorance rather than illiteracy. The term used by the court was ignorance. So poverty, ignorance, inequality of opportunity and disease are the aim of the democratic socialism per se. So what are we trying to eradicate? All of these. And what is the end goal? The end goal is to reach to a society. Getting it? And what kind of a society are we looking at? A welfare society having all of these features. Now tell me something. Look at the character of a welfare society. A society having equality, society having opportunities, society where there is no poverty or illiteracy, society with a minimum standard of living, a society with no diseases. Tell me something. The aim of Indian society for all of these things, did it come only in 1976? Because the term socialist was inserted in 1976. But these were the aim of the Indian government or the state much before 1976, which is 1950 itself, from the day we had a constitution. Now the question is, why we inserted the term in 1976? Or rather, the larger question is, we speak so highly of the Constituent Assembly, why the Constituent Assembly did not write the term in 1950 itself? So please give the heading, why not 1950? Why we did not write the term in 1950 itself? Right? 1950 itself. Now see, there were many members in the Constituent Assembly who actually wanted to write down the term socialist in the preamble itself. But you need to understand one thing, that if something is written or not written in the preamble does not actually guarantees its presence or absence inside the Constitution, which means there's a term liberty written in preamble. Suppose that term was not written. Suppose liberty was not written in the preamble. Does that mean we do not have liberty in India? We have it. In Article 19, Clause 1, it clearly talks about our liberty. It is only symbolic that things which were important were written on the preamble. It does not mean that if you write or delete something in the preamble, it means it will also get written or be deleted from the Constitution itself. Remember, force of the Constitution starts from Article 1 onwards. Getting it? Now with that in view, understand one thing. In 1950, tell me something, what was happening internationally? Cold War. And in Cold War, what was happening? There were two camps. One was United States of America, other was USSR. Philosophically speaking, USA was following capitalism, USSR was following socialism. Tell me something, here while the international community was getting divided into two camps, these were two camps, tell me something, India, Who was a closer friend to India? USA or USSR? USSR was a closer friend to India. If you talk about the leaders in India of that time, 1950, tell me something, what kind of a orientation these leaders were having? Capitalistic or socialistic? Socialistic. Rather, we were fighting against capitalism because colonialism is nothing but an offshoot of capitalism, isn't it? So much so that in India, there were many schools of socialism. You look at many of the greatest of the leaders we had, Subhas Bose, you look at Sardar Patel, you look at Mahatma Gandhi, you look at Pandit Nehru, you will see that they were so much ingrained into socialism that they even used to follow different schools of socialism. Like Pandit Nehru used to follow a school called as Fabian socialism. Pretty much similar to what we see today in the form of democratic socialism, Fabian socialism, because he was a member of a party called as Fab party. Anyways, Fabian socialism. So tell me something, when your leaders are having an ideology of socialism, the leaders who are defining your country, and at the same time, your country is a closer friend with one of the allies, which is USSR, don't you think it was easier to rather write down the term socialist at that point of time? Isn't it? Rather, the background supports us to write down the term socialist in the preamble. Then why we did not write it? That's because of a very simple fact that the Constituent Assembly was a awakened group of people, an aware group of people. When being put forth by many to Dr. Ambedkar that we should write down the term socialist when the goal of our country is nothing but welfare society, Dr. Ambedkar summarily rejected the proposal. And he said, if we write down the term socialism over here, there will be confusion of meanings. Because our socialism is different from the socialism that USSR is following. Getting it? Rather, this was very beautifully put forth by Dr. Ambedkar on the floor of the house. He said that who are we to fix the pattern, the economic pattern for future Indians? Because what is classical socialism doing? Fixing the economic pattern itself, that how the economics will be run in the country. But Dr. Ambedkar would say that who are we to fix the economic pattern of the future Indians? Today we like socialism, tomorrow we will like some other ism, day after tomorrow some new ism will come. So who am I sitting in 1950 to write down on the constitution that what kind of an economic pattern India will have in May 2024? Let that generation decide what kind of an economic pattern they want to have. So rather than the classical model where the economics pattern was being fixed, Dr. Ambedkar said that I don't want to fix it. Rather, let's fix the societal pattern. Let's try to get a welfare society. Let's make that as an end goal and let the generation itself figure out what kind of economic pattern they want to take. We don't mind taking public or private or PPP. Remember, whatever you take, the goal shall be to reach to a society which is welfare in nature, to which responding Pandit Nehru introduced mixed economy in India. So unlike socialist state of USSR where there was no role of private sector, see, from day one we were having both public as well as private sector in case of India. Why? Because Dr. Ambedkar said we are not going to fix the pattern of economics. Let the generation only decide what kind of economical pattern they want. Rather, what we will fix the end goals, which is what kind of a society do we want. Clear to all of you? With this in mind, they did not write the term socialist in the preamble itself, because also we were taking care of NAM. We never wanted to become a party to any of the camp. At the same time, we don't want to confuse anyone that we are democratic socialism. We were very new. If that was the case and everything was going smooth, then what was the reason to actually insert the term in 1976? Why 1976 then? Who was at the helm of affairs in 1976? Indira Gandhi, right? If you look at Indira Gandhi, she was one of the strongest executive we have seen. Majorly we remember her for emergency as a provision. But let me tell you, emergency was the final coffin, final nail on the coffin. Before that, Indira Gandhi has taken many steps, like that of nationalization of banks, abolition of privy purses and many other steps. In all of these steps, who was becoming more powerful? The state was becoming more powerful. Obviously, the government as a reflection of state was becoming more powerful. As the state or the government was becoming more powerful, it was heavily criticized by the opposition and people. Right? At the end of the day, this government is a democratically elected government. So if people are criticizing, it needs to address the people that whatever is happening, the state becoming more powerful, is in their benefit only. It has to be explained. So because of political reasons, the government wanted a kind of moral authority to explain that whatever is being done by which the state is becoming more powerful is only aligned to the benefit of people. And what can explain it better rather than a term which makes the state stronger? Because end of the day, who is going to establish a welfare society? It is the state alone. And how it can do it? Only when it becomes powerful. So in order to have a moral authority to explain all the political actions, Indira Gandhi government inserted a term socialist in 1976. Understood? Is it clear to all of you? Clear or not? Clear? Another year which will come to your mind while you are talking about socialistic provision is that of LPG, or the year is 1991. Here in this year, if you look at LPG, it is the privatization angle which is pretty much criticized and being said that with introduction of privatization, the socialistic credential of Indian state has been diluted. Do you think with LPG as a reform, the socialistic credential of Indian state has been diluted? Do you feel so? No, not really. You need to understand that we were okay with LPG, isn't it? Because what was Ambedkar saying? I am not going to fix the economic pattern. Let the generation decide it. Today you like socialism. Tomorrow you will like some otherism. Maybe in 1991 you will like LPG. So you like it. I have nothing to do with economic pattern. What we rather need to do, we need to establish a socialistic pattern, or we need to establish a welfare society. Now, you know the aims of democratic socialism given by Supreme Court of India, right? What is that? To eradicate poverty, disease, ignorance and inequality of opportunity. Now let's do one thing. Let's divide our country's history into two parts. Let's write it 1950 to 1991, phase 1, and from 1991 to 2024, phase 2. Let's look at these two phases and tell me by your common understanding whatsoever you have. Tell me in phase 1 or phase 2, where you were able to eradicate more of poverty, there or here? Where you were able to eradicate more of hunger, there or here? Where you were able to eradicate more of ignorance, education, there or here? Where you were able to eradicate more of inequality of opportunities? So where are you able to establish a democratic society? But that doesn't mean that LPG is a panacea to all problems. There are problems of privatization, which is concentration of wealth, which is happening. For that, the government is taking step. But to outrightly say that with introduction of LPG reforms, the socialistic credentials of India were diluted won't be a correct statement to make. Getting it? Everything will have something positive and something which is negative. You need to fight the negative and you need to praise the positive. That you need to understand from the 1991 LPG reforms. Clear to all of you? Huh? Now, if you look at the provisions of socialism or socialistic state in the Indian polity, you will see it not only in the constitution but in many other places. For example, one of the most important thing you will see ever is the directive principle of state policies. Most of the books, any point of time if you say socialism, will take you to part 4 of the constitution, which is DPSP. Here, you will come across provisions like that of Article 39B. Article 39B, which talks about equitable distribution of resources for public good. What you have to do? You have to go for equitable distribution of resources. For example, Article 39C would talk about there shall not be concentration of wealth. This one is equitable distribution, and 39C is about concentration of wealth. Now look at 39B and C given in Indian Constitution. Don't you think it is the same thing what Marx was trying to say in USSR? Isn't it the same thing? Which means that democratic socialism includes Marxian socialism. So you should understand that democratic socialism includes Marxian socialism as well as Gandhian socialism. It is heavily inclined towards Gandhian socialism, but definitely there are provisions of even Marxian socialism also inside democratic socialism. Gandhian socialism simply means bottom-up approach for development in one line. Understood? Where the grassroots institution will be more stronger is what is the idea of Gandhian socialism. So Indian socialism or democratic socialism is a mixture of both Marxian as well as Gandhian socialism, and that's what we see in our DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policies. Similarly, you will come across taxation policy. Look at taxation policy of India. What kind of a direct taxation policy do we have? A progressive one, right? So what happens in a progressive taxation policy? The more your income, the more rate of taxes you have to pay. And what the government does with the revenue it is generating from the tax money? It is making welfare scheme. And what welfare scheme does at the end of the day? Makes Indian society a welfare society. So even taxation policy also looks at these democratic socialism we have in India. Look at something else. Look at Article 21. This is fundamental rights. Generally books will tell you to look at DPSPs for socialism. Now let's look at fundamental right, something which is completely apart from that of DPSPs, part 3. How? Article 21A to be exact, that is right to education. How right to education is a socialistic provision? How right to education is a democratic socialism? Remember the aims of democratic socialism given by court. Remember one of the provision, eradication of ignorance. What RT is doing? Eradicating ignorance in the society. What I all want to tell you is that just don't be limited to DPSPs when they talk about socialism. Rather, the spirit of democratic socialism can be seen throughout the Constitution of India, because end of the day, the Constitution always try to establish a society which is welfare in nature. Getting the point? Let's go to the next term then, which is secular. secular. Secular is ideals or aspirations? Ideals. So if it is ideal, it is for country or for people? So the first of fight that we have in our society is that we don't understand where secular is written. It is written for the country, which means India has to be secular. What about people, individuals? They can be anything, we don't care about it. Isn't it? Rather, the constitution gives you the right to be anything. Be religious or be atheist. That is there in fundamental right. So your relation as individual with your religion is given under Article 25 to 28. We are not at all talking about individualistic stand on secularism. What we are talking about is Republic of India being a secular country. That's what we are talking about. First thing. Second thing, exactly like socialism as a term which has been a foreign import, secularism also as a term has been that of a foreign import. Can you tell me from where secularism has been borrowed? France. Europe to be exact, it won't be correct to call it France. Rather, you can call it medieval Europe. You must have come across an idea called as Dark Age, right? Can in one line you will tell me what is Dark Age? What is Dark Age? Arey ruko. Huh? What is Dark Age? Yes, please. Very good. So, period of time wherein rationality took the back seat is what is called as Dark Age. Now, what we are talking about, religion and politics and church and state, are the symptoms it started showing. Remember one thing, that every individual has got two spheres. All of us have got two spheres of our life. One is called as the public sphere and the other is called as the personal or private sphere. Personal or private sphere. If you look at this public sphere, who is dominating the public sphere of us? It is the state, isn't it? Whereas if you look at our personal or private sphere, it is religion which dominates it. So religion is a personal affair. It is not a public affair. It is a personal affair. Now, because of less intellectualism or understanding or logic or rationality, during the Dark Ages, the people of Europe, what they did is, they mixed both of their public and private sphere together. Now, once you mix both of the sphere, ideally you should keep them away. When you mix them, as a repercussion, what happened is that religion started overruling over the state. As a result of which, the religion became more powerful than the state, or church started ruling that over politics. Getting it? Now, every society will get rationalized in due course of time with experience, education, interaction, exposure, etc. Some society might get rationalized in 200 years, another society might take 2000 years, but one day the society will get rationalized because of many factors. So the European society also got rationalized, and the moment they got rationalized, they did introspection, retrospection to be exact, like what happened, why we fell into the ground or the pits of that of Dark Ages, why there was no intellectual development, why no rationality, why no logic, and then they understood that all of these things happened because they mixed both of their spheres. And what is to be needed in order to grow logically? There shall be a separation between the public and the private sphere. This separation between the public and the private sphere is what is called as secularism. Or rather, what is secularism? Is the separation of religion from politics or church from state or public from private sphere. So what is secularism? Secularism is the separation of religion from politics. Now this is the understanding of secularism in outer world, not India, outer world. Now from outer world we have got this term. Now tell me something with your experience of Indian society. Do you think in India religion is separated from politics? Right now elections are going on. You can very well understand it, isn't it? So is religion separated from politics? No, it is not. Acha, tell me something. Do you want religion to be separated from politics in India? How many of you wanted that religion shall be separated from politics in India? Which means you have not understood Indian society. How can you assume something which is practiced in a different society will be equally implemented in a different society? You look at secularism, from where it is coming? Majorly those countries which are mono-religious in nature. There is only one religion, mono-religious majorly, isn't it? You look at India and tell me what is mono? Nothing is mono in India. Everything is multi, isn't it? Language, multi. Culture, multi. Races, multi. Languages, multi. Religion, multi. We have nothing which is mono. Then how can you say that something which is implemented in a mono-religious country can equally be implemented in a multi-religious country? Let me try to explain it with the help of one person, मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी. MKG मतलब मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी. क्लास के बाद आके कोई नहीं पूछेगा MKG का मतलब क्या है, ठीक है? So we'll take the help of Gandhi ji. Why? Because see, the work of a leader is not just to lead. If you feel that just by walking a few feet ahead of the crowd you are leader, then let me tell you, direction can change at any point of time. Getting it? A leader's work is to make the life of people easy. That's why most of the accepted leaders around the globe are the people who can explain to common people in easier terms the complex concepts. So when you also become a district collector, do remember that all the people who are entering your cabin or your room are not people who prepared for civil services or have not seen the constitution or do not understand law. If you bombard them legalistic language, they will only consider you as a fruitless idiot. Getting it? रिक्शा वाले को इंग्लिश में बात करके कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, उसको हिंदी में बोलेंगे तो जल्दी छोड़ देगा जिधर जाना है, ठीक है? So do understand where the bombardment of English language has to be done. Getting it? Therein where you should understand, if you cannot explain to a layman a concept, that means that you yourself have not understood the concept. Getting it? And the biggest contribution of Mahatma Gandhi is, he will not talk about rocket sciences. He will talk about things which looks complex, but he will make it very, very easy. See, the biggest achievement of Mahatma Gandhi is mass movement, isn't it? मास मूवमेंट में किया क्या उन्होंने? सिंपल सा था. उससे पहले कौन थे? एक्सट्रीमिस्ट थे, राइट? एक्सट्रीमिस्ट में क्या होता था? आइदर तो तुम जियोगे या मरोगे, दोनों में से एक. आइदर तो गोली लगेगी या तो फिर डकैती डालोगे, दोनों में से, उसके बाद कुछ नहीं है. व्हाट महात्मा गांधी डिड? केम टू द मूवमेंट एंड सेड, कोई नहीं मरेगा, मैक्सिमम दो लाठी पड़ेगा, भीड़ में जाएंगे वापस आ जाएंगे. रीड अबाउट मास मूवमेंट. The moderates were more of a urban crowd, society तक, the urban crowd इकोलन तक ही रुक गए. Extremist बहुत ही minimum numbers में थे, because how many people will agree to sacrifice their life? It looks good on book. भगत सिंह किताबों में अच्छा लगता है, और जब पड़ोसी हो तो अच्छा लगता है, अपने घर में नहीं पसंद किसी को. Getting it? Practical life. But do understand, ना तो moderates काम आए ना extremist काम आए. काम कौन आया? गांधी. What Gandhi did? सब चलो. टेलर भी अपना मशीन लेके जा रहा है, क्यों? क्योंकि पता है कि कुछ होना जाना है नहीं, सीएगा आराम से और वापस आ जाएगा. Everyone started participating in the movement. That's the contribution of Gandhi. When you tell them that, see, the force you are fighting with, Britishers, are the strongest force of the world. You cannot defeat them violently. If you use force, they will defeat you overnight. Fight with something that they have not even seen. Hence, satyagraha and non-violence. अगर ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है तो तुमको आधा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन समझ में नहीं आएगा. तो इसको समझो. Violence is the instrument of the one who is not having a mental stability. Look at any person who is using violence. It is the easiest to irritate the person and throw him out of the group, isn't it? It is the most difficult to argue with someone who talks with logic, isn't it? हाँ, समझिए इसको. कल को डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर बनेंगे तो लड़ने थोड़ी जाएंगे. हाँ, उसके लिए तो एसपी होगा, उसको लगा देंगे काम में. हाँ, चलिए. महात्मा गांधी will talk about the relationship of an individual with religion with that of state. So let's take the help of Mahatma Gandhi and understand the Indian society. Then we will understand the three questions that I asked you, whether religion is separated from politics or not, whether it can be separated, and do we hope to separate it. The three questions. So Gandhi will majorly talk about two things. Number one, he will say that religion is integral to Indians' life. Religion is integral to Indians' life. Integral means something which cannot be separated. So religion cannot be separated from an Indian person or a life of an Indian. Let me tell you, whether you agree or not, whether you accept it or not, or whether you know it or not, most of the things that we are doing are guarded by religion itself. See, whatever we do is guarded by culture, isn't it? And in India, culture is hugely influenced by religion. Many of the things that we are doing, actually we don't know, but they come from religion only. Getting it? As such, the Indian life is integrated to that of religion. Now, when I say Indian life, or rather life, life is having all the aspects, the social aspect, the economic aspect, as well as the political aspect, isn't it? If religion cannot be separated from life, it cannot be separated from social, economic, as well as political aspect of life. And that's what we were saying. Religion cannot be separated from politics, because whatever we do is directly or indirectly related to religion only. We can't separate it. Getting it? This is the first thing that Gandhi would say. Any rocket science? Nothing. Easier statement, right? The second one Gandhi would say is that people can progress only when religion progresses. People can progress only when religion progresses. Which means he is simply saying that you cannot go ahead in life if your religion is keeping you to the back. If you are following a religion and that religion is backward looking, there are practices in the religion which makes you more of an orthodox, makes you backward looking person, you cannot progress in life. To progress in life, you have to have a religion which supports your progressive character. Getting it? Any rocket science? No, simple thing. Right? So, where he is saying that people will only progress when religion progresses. Now tell me something. Who has got a constitutional obligation or duty to work for progress of people? It is state. It is state's duty to work for progress of people. But we just understood that people can only progress if religion progresses. So tell me then, whose work it is to make the religion a progressive religion? Again, it is state. Isn't it? Which means if there is anything which is holding up any person from progressing in the life because of religious practices, it is whose work to eradicate those things? It is the work of state. Getting it? Now, do you understand that the moment we say that state has a role in religion, we completely deviate from the Western concept of separation of religion from that of politics? Getting it? So what are we saying? That state has to work for progress of religion. But let me tell you, religion is the biggest status quoist. Which means, though on the books you can say that religion shall be changed, it is very, very difficult to change religion. Getting the point? It's very, very difficult. All of you know about Raja Ram Mohan Roy. What he fought against? Sati as a practice. Do you know the moment he started his movement against Sati, he was thrown out of the house? Who threw him out? His mother only. Why? Because you cannot question religion. I'm sure all of you are rational people. Around 20 years of age, experience. Whatever religion you are following, I'm sure you must be having some doubts. Why I am doing this or why I am doing that? Do one thing. You know what has to be done? Just after the class, give a call to your mother and tell her that, Ma, today I read about secularism in class, and I think that so and so practice in our religion is baseless and irrational. I don't think we should follow it. What do you think? What will happen? You will become second Raja Ram Mohan Roy. You will be thrown out of your houses. That's what I said. That religion is the biggest status quoist. It is very, very difficult to reform religion. But then, religion has to be reformed. And who can reform it? It is only state who can reform it. Let me tell you something and understand it practically. If you still believe somewhere in your mind that no sir, if the European society can very well exist with the separation of religion from that of politics, sir, why are we compelling that state should have a role in religion? Rather, we should separate religion from that of state. If you still think like that, let me tell you, if there is no state in religion in India, then Indian society is still capable of practicing sati, untouchability, child marriage or triple talaq at any moment of the day in any part of India. If you stop today the role of state into religion, tomorrow morning in Hindu you will read that such a girl in such part of India was burnt with the pyre of her husband. It is only the fear of the state कि डंडा पड़ेगा. We are not doing it. Getting it? That's why state has to have a role in religion. But the moment we say state has a role in religion, no more separation of politics, religion from that of politics, which means we are not secular. Because this is the definition of being secular. But we are mixing it, which means we are not secular. Or rather, the idea is we are a different strand of secularism, which is also called as Indian or Eastern secularism. And the classical one that we read is what is called as the Western secularism. Western secularism. Yes. वो भी वही समझेगा जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Can you please increase the ease? Western secularism and Eastern secularism. ठीक है. Now Western secularism is very simple. We go for a complete separation of religion and politics. Why? Because religion comes in the private sphere of an individual, whereas politics comes in the public sphere of the individual, right? Whereas Indian or Eastern secularism says that state has a role in a religion, which means that the state will intervene into religion to make it a progressive religion. But while the state intervenes into any religion, there shall not be any discrimination for the state to intervene in any religion, which means if the Indian state sees there is something not that progressive or bad in Hinduism, it should get inside Hinduism and fix it, which should equally be like if it sees something which is bad or not that progressive in Islam, it should get inside Islam and fix it. Similarly, if there is something which is not that great going in Christianity, it should get inside Christianity and fix it. And so is the case with any other religion. The state shall not discriminate from one religion to another religion as far as reforming of religion is concerned. Is it clear to all of you? Is this clear? Which means that Republic of India is secular in nature. Republic of India is secular in nature, which means there is no official religion of Republic of India. Unlike the countries like we have Vajrayana Buddhist state of Bhutan, you have Hindu kingdom of Nepal, you have Islamic state of Iran, you have Christian state of Armenia, nothing of that sort. What we are? We are Republic of India. We are just Republic of India, and there is no religion which is the official religion of India, which simply means that neither we are religious nor we are non-religious. Rather, what we are? We are a-religious, which means all religion are our religion, and every religion which needs any kind of a reformation, we will get inside it and we will fix it. This is Indian secularism. Making sense to all of you? Huh? Now tell me something. This idea of Indian secularism, do you think it was only there in India in 1976 when the term was inserted? No, this idea of multi-religious, availability has been there in India since long, isn't it? Was it 1950? No, much before that. Rather, if you look at Indian subcontinent, since ages, we have this idea of secularism. Getting it? Multiple faiths being available at the same time and non-discrimination for each of the faith. Have you come across this term ever? YOLO. What does that mean? You only live once. So the Western world is now using this slang too much. I think you people are also using it. Right? YOLO. You only live once. This is at least a 3,000-year-old concept in India. You will read about many schools of thought in ancient India, of which you will read about a school of thought called as Lokayat school or the Charbagh philosophy. Charbagh philosophy. Now understand, India, which is known for spiritual thinking. India in the Western world is very well known for spiritual thinking. It is not the case always. India has always provided platforms to all kind of belief system, even to the one which were completely contrary to the basic idea of spiritualism, which means even we have supported excessively materialistic schools of thought. Lokayat as a school of thought is an excessively materialistic school of thought, which would simply say that there is only one life. There is nothing called as God, there is nothing called as soul, there is nothing called as rebirth, there is nothing called as hell or heaven. There is no such concept. Rather, you are born here, so you enjoy. You only live once. And how do you only live once? It would say that focus on materialistic activities. Enjoy your life. To enjoy your life, you take loan from others. Ask for money. When you take that loan, what do you do with that money? Buy ghee. Ghee has to be an exclusive elite item during the past ages. So buy ghee. Drink that ghee and die. But don't return the money. What is this? Excessively materialistic school of thought. Even Lokayat school has not been discriminated in India. We see many of the people being existing in India practicing the Char Bagh philosophy. So secularism, the Indian secularism as a concept is not something which is new to India. It has been there since ages. Rather, the term secularism, so to say, which is a Western concept, is not even a right term to India. Rather, there is another term which describes Indian secularism that is called as Sarva Dharma Samabhava. Another term given by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, but made famous by one of the greatest leader we had, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Two of the greatest leaders we had. Sarva means all, Dharma means religion, and Samabhava means equal treatment. So what is Indian secularism? That all the religions are to be treated equally. Is this clear to all of you? Clear to all of you? Secularism. So India as a country has to be secular. You can be very much religious. So don't fight with your friend that you are not secular. He is not supposed to be secular. He is supposed to be religious only. Getting it? Is this clear to all of you? Let's look at the next term, which is democratic. Democratic. Democracy or democratic. Democracy comes from the term demos plus kratos. Demos means people. Kratos means to rule. So who rule in a democracy? It is the people who rule. So please write, when the political sovereignty lies with people, when the political sovereignty lies with people, the setup is said to be democratic. The setup is said to be democratic. So the easiest of definition of democracy is government by the people, for the people, of the people. Right? That is the easiest of definition. Government by the people, of the people, and for the people. Isn't it? With time, what it is becoming? Government by the people, of the people, for the people. Isn't it? So be sure in your spellings. It is by the people, for the people, and of the people. However, you should understand that the democracy as a term, though here it is all about the political setting, democracy as a term goes beyond just political power. It goes also into the domain of our social context as well as that of economic context. Please write down, when man becomes the master of his destiny, when man becomes the master of his destiny, democracy is said to be realized. When man becomes the master of his destiny, democracy is said to be realized. Pandit Nehru. देखो मैन इधर जेंडर न्यूट्रल है, ठीक है, women can also become master of her destiny. ठीक, यहाँ man gender neutral है. So when man becomes the master of his destiny, democracy is said to be realized. Tell me something. Can you become a master of your destiny just by voting once in 5 years? No, obviously not. So it is not just only about government, it is also about the social as well as the economic concepts. Getting the point? Huh? Now this democracy that we are talking about, it can be of two types, which is direct democracy. We'll read about all of these things in detail during election chapters, and indirect democracy. Direct democracy, well, people participate in day-to-day governance. Indirect democracy, well, people do not participate, but their representatives will take decisions on their behalf. Indirect democracy is there in India. So we are not going to sit inside parliament. Rather, we will vote for someone who will represent our interests on the floor of the parliament. That is indirect democracy. And this democratic setup have been divided into two types of settings. One is called as the presidential system and the other is called as the parliamentary system. In India, what kind of a system we have? Parliamentary system, right? We will read in detail about all of those things. Someone is asking here, sir, it is said to be realized or seed to be realized? Said to be realized or seed to be realized? But please ask yourself this question once. Huh? So man will become master of his destiny, so democracy chala jayega. Direct democracy, many countries in Europe like Switzerland uses direct democracy. ठीक है? We'll read about them in detail, don't worry. Is this clear to all of you? The last of the ideal is that of republic. Republic as a term has everything to do with how head of the state is appointed in a country. How the head of the state in a country is appointed defines whether a country is republic or not. To understand what is a republic, let's look at something which is exactly opposite of republic, which is a monarchy. Monarchy, right? Now tell me, in a monarchy, how a head of a state is appointed? How the head of the state is appointed? Please write anything but elections. इतना स्टैंडर्डाइज एग्जाम्पल करोगे ना तुम लोग, एग्जाम में गलत करके आओगे. ठीक है? Moment I am saying monarchy, your mind is thinking about UK, isn't it? That's why the moment I say head of the state, you imagine the crown. So saying hereditary. Huh? What if I say I'll appoint one person as my chief if he goes to the jungle at night and kills a lion by the day? Then is it hereditary? No, rather it is strength. Have we not appointed kings like that? How tribal people decide who will lead them? The one who is more stronger. Has it to do anything with hereditary? No. So remember, anything but elections. कुछ भी होगा, क्या नहीं होगा? Elections नहीं होंगे. Getting it? Yeah, the standard example is hereditary right. चलो, you take UK as an example and you say that in UK it is hereditary rights. Heredity. Now tell me something, when you say heredity, who will become the crown of UK? A person belonging to a particular family, or can anyone become the king? No, someone who has a particular bloodline. And what do you call those people? Royals. So one of the members of this particular family can only become the head of the state in case of UK. And what do you call others? Commoners. Ordinary people are called as commoners. If one of these commoners is very, very talented, exponentially more talented than any of these royals, do you think this commoner will become a king someday? No, he will not. No matter how much potential you have in a monarchy, you cannot become the king unless and until you belong to a particular group of people which is called as royals. But you look at India. In India, who is the head of the state? It is the president. And how the president is appointed? By elections. Indirect elections are there, but elections are there, and is appointed for a period of 5 years. Isn't it? Who can become president of India? Citizen of India. Is there anything called as a royal and commoner? No. Even you can also become the citizen, the president of India, provided someone votes for you. You can also become the president of India. What does that mean? Please write significance of republic. What is important is not the meaning, it is the significance. Right? Significance of republic. Number 1, all public offices are open for all ordinary citizens of the country. All public offices are open for all ordinary citizens of the country. And number 2, the most important thing, right? The relationship between the state, and its citizens, the relationship between the state and its citizen is based on a single simple parameter of equality. Getting it? So what is the relationship between the state and people? It is everyone is equal. Unlike monarchy where not everyone is equal. Getting it? Not everyone is equal. Rather, there are differential treatment to different kind of groups in the country. But in a republic, what happens? Everyone is equal. What does that mean? That means that you can grow to your optimum potential in your life. You can even become the head of the state. Look at the President of India right now. She is the perfect example which shall be quoted over here in Republic. A tribal woman coming from a backward area who has climbed up the ladder of her life starting from basic local elections to becoming the very first citizen of India. Was it possible in UK? No. That is only possible in a republic. Please do not get confused between the two terms republic and democracy. If you want, please make a note. Republic and democracy. Please write, democracy is all about the political setting in a country. Democracy is all about political setting in a country, whereas republic is about how the head of the state is appointed. Republic is all about how the head of the state is appointed. Write the second one. All republics are democracy. All republics are democracy. But all democracies are not republic. but all democracy are not a republic. Do you understand it? UK is the perfect example. It is a democracy, but it is not republic. It is a monarchy, right? Can you understand it logically that for a republic you need a written constitution? Can you understand it? Only a written constitution will write down the provisions of how the head of the state will be appointed by election. Otherwise, the traditional form of monarchy will continue. So please write, for a republic to be in action, a written constitution is mandatory. A written constitution is mandatory. Whereas democracy can be established. By both written and unwritten constitutions. Democracy can be established by both written and unwritten constitution. Okay, full stop, done. See, in due course of time, when you will have some maturity to understand the constitution, you will understand that democracy is more of quantitative, whereas republic is more of qualitative. Getting it? In due course of time, you will understand that democracy is nothing but, in political sphere, is nothing but that of numbers, whereas republic is more of qualitative because it talks about potential development of a person. So in due course of time, you will understand that if there are 10 people, 7 of them or 8 of them or 9 of them say yes to something and that something is done, then we call it is democracy in action. Isn't it? That is only democracy, na? If 10 people are there and 9 say we shall do it and we will do that, what do we call that setup? Democracy only. Suppose there are 10 white people and a black person is standing over there and you are in 18th century and of the 10, 9 says, let's kill the black person. That is called as mob lynching. That is pure democracy in action. Isn't it? Yes, it is. Think about it. That's why I told you democracy is all about quantitative if you look at it politically. But then we understood democracy is not just limited to that of the political arena. It equally goes to social as well as economic arena, and that is where republic comes in. And that's where comes the power of a written constitution. For a republic, because it is elections which will decide the head of the state, you always need a written constitution. If there is no written constitution and you have been following tradition, was the tradition ever about election of kings? No, it is always coronation of the king, which is always hereditary. Isn't it? Yes, you had a question. Yes, they are not republic before say. See, monarchy is about head of the state. Militarily, they rule it as a group. Do they call themselves the head of the state? They are head of the government. Look at Myanmar. Look at the dictatorship of the military in Myanmar. Are they actually looking at any head of the state anymore? No. Even if there is there are some countries wherein you will have a head of the state who for namesake is elected, but who rules it is the military junta. Getting it? So you will not be calling it monarchy. Rather, you cannot call it republic also. It is a destabilized state which is not into progressive mode of either that or this. What is their new constitution saying? On that they will fall. So right now you do not have anything. You only have a head of a government which is running the affairs of administration. When you have a constitution, you will write down in the constitution that do you want to continue with a king or a military head or do you want to have a president? That too you will write down in the constitution. Na? We also wrote down in the constitution. Na? Before that it was viceroy. Did we write about Viceroy? No. We wrote about President of India. Clear? Let's go. Yes.
The written and unwritten are about the codifiable property of the government.
That you will understand, it is more than that. With time you will understand, don't worry. Is this clear to all of you? Let's quickly go to aspirations. Write aspirations. And what is the first aspiration? It is justice. Justice. Justice comes from the word just. And what is the meaning of just? Fair. So what is justice? It is fair treatment. And where are we expecting fair treatment? The preamble itself makes it amply clear that justice in social sphere, justice in economic sphere, as well as in political sphere. So in all the three spheres of life, we should be fairly treated. In public places, in social spheres, right? We are to be treated fairly. In the colonial days, you must have seen that board, Indians and dogs are not allowed. Can you write something like that today anywhere? No. Rather, we have an Indian with his dog in their prime ministerial office. So today, you cannot treat anyone unfairly. Socially also, you cannot practice untouchability. Getting it? Constitution stops it. Economically also, you are to be treated fairly. There must be equality of opportunities. And the best example is you people sitting in the class itself. Why are you sitting over here? Because you know that there is equality of opportunity. If I say for the next 10 years, only girls will get selected, or if I say only North Indian will get selected, or only boys will get selected, do you get the point? That is unfair treatment. Do you think any of these sort of things will happen in India? No, none of these. Why? Because the Constitution guarantees you fair treatment even in the economic sphere as well. Look at political spheres. All of us are a part of this democracy. We can decide who will govern us. We can choose the government. Is there a difference between you voting and me voting? Is it that my vote will be counted as 10 votes and your vote will be counted as minus 10? No, it is all one. One man, one vote, one value. Isn't it? This is justice. Do understand one thing. If in one word anyone asks you this question, what do you think is the purpose of Constitution? Then in one word reply, it is to give justice. End of the day, whatever we are doing, all revolves around just one concept, and that one concept is justice. If you look at this term justice, it has been taken from the Russian Revolution. It has been taken from Russian Revolution. Remember Karl Marx, who was saying this is injustice, USSR followed it, so it comes from Russian Revolution. Whereas the next three terms that we see, which is liberty, equality, and fraternity, they come from the French Revolution. They have been taken from French Revolution. Rather, France is so much motivated by these three terms that it is the motto of the French government also. What is the motto of a French government? It is liberty, equality. They call equality as equality. Hence we learn a term egalitarian society. A welfare society is egalitarian society. That equality is the motto of French government, and the last one is fraternity. So what is the motto of French government? Liberty, equality, and fraternity. What is the motto of Indian government? Satyameva Jayate. Taken from Mundaka Upanishad. अभी तो सवाल पूछ दिया तो सबको आता है. हाँ, मुंडका उपनिषद. At least know the motto of your state. Huh? You're preparing to get into services. Satyameva Jayate. Truth alone triumphs. So let's look at the first term, which is liberty. What is liberty? Liberty is freedom from constraints or restraints. What is liberty? Liberty is freedom from restraints, which is absence of restrictions. Is there an absolute absence of restriction? No, there is nothing absolute. Get it? Complete liberty, absolute liberty means no liberty. If everyone is free to do anything they desire, then do you understand the society will be in chaos? The one who is more powerful will dominate the one who is lesser powerful. So what will come in the society? Right is might, or might is right, is what will happen in the society. The one who is more powerful will dominate the one who is lesser powerful. That's why the constitution does not provide absolute freedom, rather there are reasonable restrictions which are provided over them. So you need to restrict the liberty as well. Now the point is, why are we talking about freedom from constraints or absence of restraint? What will happen if liberty is there? Why do you need liberty? What will happen if liberty is there? Only when you have liberty, your optimum potential growth will happen. Only when you have the liberty to think, the liberty to express, the liberty to maybe make a startup, the liberty to maybe take a step, the liberty to do something, then only you will grow in life, isn't it? And that's what the Constitution says. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Only if you have these, you will grow in your life. Getting it? So liberty is absence of restraint, which actually leads to potential growth of an individual. Getting it? Now in 2016, they asked you a question, what do you mean by liberty given in the Indian Constitution? 4 options, A, B, C, D. A, B काट देते हैं, C, D देखते हैं. This is C and this is D. Which one is the answer? The answer is D. That's because ultimately what is freedom from restraint doing? It is providing you potential development. And if you remember the last class, I told you about 2 types of constitutions, transactional and transformative. As per transactional constitution, this is the definition. As per transformative constitution, which intends to change your life, this is the definition. An Indian constitution is a transformative constitution. So this is the meaning of liberty. Do you understand it? Throughout that year, Supreme Court was talking about transformative constitution. So we were expecting a question on transformative constitution directly. But what UPSC asked? The meaning as per transformative constitution. So you have to be very, very active on what is happening on the newspapers and the world around you. Getting the point? Huh? Now this absence of, by the way, till that time, every book was saying liberty means absence of restraint. As the question came, every book modified it. It is also potential development. तो तब तक सब यही देख के आए थे, रजनीकांत. Everyone marked this and then they are fighting. Then UPSC said this is the answer. Only in newspaper it was talking about this. Getting it? So keep an eye on the newspaper. Anyways, what kind of liberty are we looking at in the constitution? Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. All the terms that are given are having different meanings. What is thought? What is thought? जोर से. Mental manipulation of an idea. So when you have an idea and you manipulate that idea, just having an idea is not thought. When you manipulate that idea, look at it 360 degree. When you think about it, you say, no, I'm thinking about something. The thinking about something is nothing but mental manipulation. So mental manipulation of an idea is what is called as thought. Tell me logically, can I regulate what you are thinking? Can I regulate what you are thinking? How do I know what are you thinking inside? How can I regulate it? So philosophically, it is not possible to regulate what you are thinking. But practically, do you think thoughts shall also be regulated? Do you think thoughts shall be regulated? Absolutely yes. Rather, it is the first thing to be regulated. Remember one thing, you become what you think. Remember this line, you will become what you think. So what you think is very, very important. If you keep on thinking, मेरे से नहीं होगा, take my words, इस जन्म में पेपर नहीं निकलेगा. If you start thinking otherwise, that no, I can do it, many are doing it, I can also do it, that will give you optimism. Remember, you become what you think. The first thing to be regulated rather is thoughts. And why should you regulate thought? Let me give you two examples to understand it. You will read many in due course of your preparation. Let me quote one thinker that you will read in ethics by the name Immanuel Kant. Kantian ethics you will read, so Kant you will read. Kant would say that if you think about committing a crime, you are as good as a criminal. Now you may say, sir, I was only thinking about killing my friend. How come you can say I'm a murderer? I didn't kill him. But Kant would say, no. Because you thought about killing your friend, you are as good as the criminal. Now you may ask Kant, sir, why are you telling so? So Kant would say that, see, thought are mental manipulation of an idea. An idea came to your mind that you should kill someone. And what are you doing? You are thinking, manipulating the idea 360 degrees. So basically, you have figured out when to kill the person, how to kill the person, how to go out or how to run away. You have thought of all the things. Rather, what you are waiting for? You are waiting for opportunity. So the only difference between you and the murderer is, he got the opportunity, you are still waiting for the opportunity. Morally, you both are murderers only. Getting it? Now, it may look to you like a joke. Like, sir, how can you say that if someone thinks about committing a crime will make that person criminal? Then I'll tell you, qualify IPS, Indian Police Service, and go to NPA Hyderabad. They will teach you a subject called as criminology. And what do you understand by that? By that, you will be understanding how to trace the thinking of a criminal. देखो, पुलिस का काम ना हमेशा क्राइम के बाद जाना नहीं है. Although that is what the Bollywood movies have made it for, but many a time it is the work of police to even reach before the crime has been committed. अब ऐसा तो है नहीं कि क्रिमिनल फोन करके जाएगा कि मैं वहां मर्डर करने जा रहा हूं, मेरे से पहले पहुंच के दिखा. Which means the police intelligently has to understand what is the mindset of a person. That is where you will come across a term called as habitual offenders. Who are habitual offenders? Those who are committing the crime again and again and again, which means they are thinking about committing the crime again and again and again. If you are a smart police officer, you should be able to catch him by his thoughts, isn't it? That's why your thoughts shall be regulated first. Second, let's take the help of Mahatma Gandhi, right? So what Gandhi would say? Gandhi would say that your thoughts becomes your actions. What we think we act, isn't it? Your actions becomes your habits. What we keep on doing, they become our habit, isn't it? Your habits becomes your character. You are identified as a character by what you have been doing, isn't it? Your character decides your life. Where we reach in life It is nothing but a reflection of our character, what we have been doing. Your life determines your destiny. What we do in life is nothing but our destiny. And your destiny decides the civilization. The complete civilization is nothing but a summation of everyone's destiny, isn't it? Now you see, a small thing which is inside your mind actually decides what kind of a civilization you will live in. Don't you think then that is the first thing which shall be regulated? Think about it. That's why I said you become what you think. So really be careful what you are thinking. Getting it? Thoughts, expressions. The outward manifestation of thoughts is what is expression, isn't it? What we are thinking inside, when it is outwardly put forth, what do we call it? Expression. Now there are different modes of expressing, like words. We can speak up words in order to express ourselves. That is the most inferior one. Word is not that strong or powerful. Rather, there are different modes like painting. Painting is also expression. Like banners, right? Like players, they tying a black band over here when they are playing. That is also expression. Silence is also expression. Rather, silence is one of the most wonderful tools of expression. Best example is, hey, your mother. Think about you. Think about it. Our mothers are having PhD in silence expression. They'll not tell you anything. They'll be just silent. Are not they communicating what they want? They are. Silence is one of the strongest tools. That's why you see in the last 7-8 years, there has been a good amount of increase in silent marches. In society, you will read about it. Silent marches. No one will speak up anything. कोई नाराबाजी कुछ नहीं होगा. बस लोग घर से आएंगे और चल चल के जाएंगे. Farmer protest of Maharashtra. Getting it? Why? Because silence is equally an important tool to express yourself. Belief, a concretely held opinion is a belief. And why do you have a concretely held opinion? Because maybe some rationality is there, or maybe your experience has been there. I believe my parents are always there. It is a time-tested thing. My experience is there. Whenever there is a problem I am facing, my parents are always there by me. Belief. Faith, a religious belief is faith. When you have that kind of opinion, but it is in the religious direction, then what do you call it? Faith. I have faith in God. Have you seen God? No, not really. But I have this faith. I have this opinion that yes, if anything wrong goes, there will be God always. Faith. Worship, those practices, rituals, etc., which are associated with a religion is what is called as worship. If you look about liberty in the Constitution, it is very well given in fundamental rights. Because it is very, very important for the fundamental growth of the individual. Getting it? If you even know the meaning of fundamental in fundamental right, you could have answered this question in the exam. So if you look at thought and expression, it is very well given in Article 19(1), whereas belief, faith and worship is explicitly given in Article 25 to 28 in Part 3 of the Constitution. Getting it? Clear to all of you? Let's look at the next term then, which is equality. And what is equality? Equality means non-discrimination. Equality means non-discrimination. So generally when you will say non-discrimination or equality, worldwide it is taken that non-discrimination shall be there in upcoming opportunities. So you people are sitting over here because you know that you will be equally treated in the opportunities that are coming for your life. But you look at the beauty of Indian Constitution and that of drafting of Dr. Ambedkar. He says equality of status and opportunity. Worldwide, if you look at equality, the focus majorly is at opportunities. But Ambedkar would say, no, status also is equally important. That's because opportunity is about future. But in India, we are not placed equally to take all the opportunities which will come in future. Rather, we shall always look at the background also. So status is your background, whereas opportunities is your future. The Constitution guarantees both. To look at your background also and to look at what is coming for you also. From this equality of status comes the idea of reservation or positive discrimination that you will read in Fundamental Right chapter. Getting it? So from where you are getting that? It is equality of status, that even your background has to be considered, and it is not just about what is there in future. Getting it? See, that's why it is called as the finely worded document. You look at the placement, the choice of words, it is really great. Getting it? And the last of the terms is fraternity. And what do you mean by fraternity? Brotherhood, ना? सब भाई बहन बन जाएंगे? स्कूल का प्लेस याद है? कितने लोगों ने बोला? Sense of brotherhood, it is not brotherhood. ठीक है, भाई बहन नहीं बनेंगे. Sense of brotherhood. कोई नहीं बोलेगा सिस्टरहुड क्यों नहीं लिखा है. ठीक, अंबेडकर से गलती हो गई. उनको नहीं पता था आपका फेमिनिज्म कूट कूट के 2024 में निकलेगा. उनको लगा ह्यूमैनिटी के बारे में लिख रहे हैं तो लिख दिया है. ठीक है, तो इसीलिए फ्रेटर्निटी लिखा है. ठीक, इसमें सिस्टरहुड भी आता है. ठीक, ब्रदरहुड. रादर if you look at the meaning of it, it actually contains both. Please write fraternity. Fraternity is a psychological sense of oneness. What is fraternity? It is a psychological sense of oneness, that all of us are one. One means all of us will not become one, which basically means that our destiny are intertwined. Or they are stitched with each other. So whatever will happen to me will have some impact on you. Whatever will happen to you will have some impact on maybe a person sitting in Delhi Metro right now. Maybe we don't know the person, but yes, our destinies are integrated. Our destinies are integrated. Rather write this term, integrated. Interstitched, intertwined, or integrated. That all of us are one. Getting it? And how do we assure fraternity? We assure fraternity by assuring the dignity of individual and unity and integrity of nation. How do we promote fraternity in the country? By assuring the dignity of individual and unity and integrity of nation. Dignity means respect. Self-respect, self-worth is what is dignity. Remember justice as the core term for constitution. What is the need of justice? To give you a dignified life so that you have human existence. Getting it? And unity. Unity means united we stand, divided we fall. So togetherness. Integrity as a term was inserted by a constitutional amendment, 42nd CAA. And what is the meaning of integrity? Remember, it's a boundary concept. It's a boundary concept, which means whenever you say that there is some threat to the integrity of India, that means that someone has attacked a piece of border somewhere in India. It's a boundary concept. In the Constituent Assembly, this term was not there. So what was there? Dignity of individual and unity of nation. Some of the Constituent Assembly members, they wanted unity of nation to be written first, followed by dignity of individual. Getting it? So what they wanted? To promote fraternity by assuring unity of nation and dignity of individual is what they wanted to write, which was again debated by Dr. Ambedkar, and he said that dignity of individual is very, very important. That's because many were saying nation is more important than individual. So you first write nation and then you write individual. To which Ambedkar replied that see, a nation is a cultural concept. Only because you have a territory or boundary doesn't mean that a country will become a nation. Nation is a cultural concept. For a nation to become, what you need is the people who are living in the country must make the nation. And what kind of people will be able to make nation? People who are not having dignity or people who are having dignity? Having dignity, because people not having dignity were a part of the country even during the colonial rule. Isn't it? So what he said, let's write dignity of individual first, followed by unity and integrity of nation, because dignified individuals would make a better nation than undignified people who will only make a country. And a country is a territorial concept, whereas nation is more of a spiritual concept, a cultural concept. Isn't it? If you talk about all the terms that we have seen in the preamble, the most hollowed of the term, which is completely hollow, is fraternity only. That's because so much we are divided in so many of parameters that this sense of oneness is completely missing in case of India. Getting it? Is this clear to all of you? Okay. So with that, we are done with preamble as a chapter. Yuvraj, what are you saying? Can you please write it? I would like to know this. Adoption and enactment are same, Himanshu. Enforced is different, which is 26th of January 1950. Yeah, Yuvraj, can you please go ahead with that? The one you were writing, pardon Ambedkar, I couldn't get it. Yes, Navnur, you can very well say that polytheism has helped India establish the secularism that we see today in India. I explained it in the Charbagh school, that's why I didn't answer it. You posted it earlier also. It was already explained. Ambedkar debate on dignity and integrity first. Okay, you understood it, na Yuvraj? No confusion is that, right? Okay, great. Okay, thank you.